Okay, so let's take a look at chapter 20 here. Our objectives today, we are going to be looking at, we want to describe the qualities and characteristics of uncompromising customer service. This is that classic, sort of retail question, right? People say that the customer is always right. Well, in our industry, that is very rarely true. Most people are quite wrong when it comes to like health and wellness information. But that doesn't mean that we don't want to provide excellent customer service while still, and I love that they put uncompromising there. We want to make sure that we're providing good customer service. We're giving our clients what they want, but also what is best for them, right? So we want to make sure that we stay within the lines of what is appropriate when working with our clients. We'll talk about the strategies for finding an ideal workplace. Like where do you want to work? What kind of niche do you see yourself in? For those of you who might have had a lot of fun yesterday with like the performance assessments, maybe you want to work with athletes. Maybe you want to work with kids. I had a student who he graduated actually just before. I guess he would have graduated one mod before Andres, Isaiah, Kenny, Dalen, before you guys joined in. And he runs he was telling me the other day, I ran into him after my ultimate game in the field. He's set up there. There's this big boot camp running next to our game. And I hear, I ran down this disc in the end zone. I hear, nice catch, Brad. And I was like, who the hell? And I look over and it was Jay Howard, one of my former students, and he was telling me he's got over like 150 clients now, teaching these youth boot camps. He had no idea he was going to do stuff like that. He's got his banners out there with his company logo out there and stuff. Like he's absolutely crushing it. I did talk to him. He's also having a little bit of trouble, which is a classic thing in his first year of work-life balance. He was like, oh yeah, I'm working like 50 hours a week. And I was like, yeah, man, you got you start making that money. And then all of a sudden, like you forget to have a life. I was like, don't forget to find a balance. Unfortunately, we don't have PowerPoints for that. But yeah, he's doing really, really well. So we'll talk about the strategies, where you're going to find yourself the happiest. We'll talk about how to write a resume. That is going to be very important. Obviously, that's, like I said, it's going to be your snapshot for how you get yourself hired. You want to have as much information on the page as possible. We'll understand the 4 P's of marketing. These are basically the 4 pillars of how you are going to have a marketable business. A lot of people think marketing is just advertising. That is not what it is. Marketing is how marketable your product or service is. So we'll break that down. And we want to understand the basic memberships, sales techniques, including like sales strategies and how to close sales and things like that. So first things first. Oh, and there is some information here. It's something I forget to mention. There is also some information here about professional development, right? So what are your requirements as like a trainer, right? Like how are you going to oh, hold on one second. Hey, Kenny, I think your phone's unmuted. You can hit that for me. We will also talk a little bit about like, getting yourself like set up like to actually pass your certification. Like what are your requirements to call yourself a certified personal trainer? So first things first, Nassim's going to go through some statistics slides here because they love to do that. So running a personal training business, obviously, whether that is, working as a business owner, where you are actually like maybe starting your own gym someday, or boot camp or something like that. Or maybe it is you working as an independent contractor. Maybe you are training out of people's houses. I definitely did that when I was first starting out in the industry. I'd basically have a bunch of equipment with me, travel to people's houses and set up and give them a workout in the morning. Or maybe you're just going to be an employee in a health club, making an hourly wage. That's great too. All those, it doesn't matter like what version of that you're doing. the requirements are very similar, you know. Customer always comes first. That's the big thing you need to remember. So in our industry, that obviously comes to providing like excellent customer service, but it also comes into making sure that you're keeping your client safe and healthy. We want to get our clients results, but we don't want to do it at the, you know, in ways that will compromise their health. If your client is overtraining, you know, that's going to put them at risk for some type of injury. So how do you, you know, it's honestly like, we know what burns a lot of calories and gets a lot of like results for people, and that's just being super physically active, right? That's honestly not that hard. So why the heck, you know, why the heck do we even need all this exercise science stuff? If we know that all your client has to do is get out there and move around enough, and that's honestly gonna, you know, fight off most of the diseases we talk about, why do we even need the personal training industry, right? Why can't we just have some people in the gym who work out pretty regularly and have them show people like kind of what to do, right? Well, that's kind of where the fitness industry really did start, actually. People got interested in weightlifting, and then, you know, they basically started kind of coaching people around, but it was all just based on their own personal experiences, you know. And it came from this approach of like, well, this worked for me, it should work for you, right? But what we know is that everybody's body is individually different. You know, everybody's got very different styles, very different capabilities, and they're going to adapt to things physiologically different, you know, because of biology. So, you know, that's where we started needing a more like science-based approach to exercise. We needed to base it more on physiology, biology, you know, kinesiology. We needed all of these kind of harder sciences to kind of come in. And so that is where the government actually kind of came in and allowed personal trainers to fall under what is called the NCCA. So the NCCA is a certifying agency. It stands for the National, oh man, let's see if I can get this right. The National Commission for Certifying Agency. Oh, I have it right here. The National Commission for Certifying Agencies, right? So that's the NCCA. And basically, they're an agency that gives out certification. So I don't know if anybody in here has like some type of other certification, you know, whether it's like through some type of like nursing or, you know, something you've done in the past. But if you have like some type of certification, chances are, if it's like a full nationally accredited and recognized certification, the government agency that's like putting that stamp of approval is the NCCA. Okay. Now, there's another acronym here that we also need to know, which is the IHRSA. And they are not necessarily like at government level. In fact, this is actually a private company, but they are a private company that they're a club. It's the International Health, and this is very weird, but it is Racquetball Sports Club Association, because racquetball used to be huge back in the day when I'm assuming this organization was created. And the IHRSA is basically like they're like a club. You know, when you're hearing, you know, when you hear like you're watching TV and they have those commercials where somebody comes out and it's like a bunch of like strangers and it's like real people, not actors. And they're like, what if I told you that this won the J.D. Power and Associates Award 10 years running, you know? And they're like, my God, it won the, it's like, nobody knows who the J.D. Power Associates Award is. Like, but these people are somehow like impressed. Well, J.D. Power is like a private company that gives out an award, I'm assuming, you know, for being a good car, you know. Like, well, the IHRSA is a private company that basically is like a club that other gyms belong to. And so here's the dirty secret about being a personal trainer, guys. The NCCA is what accredits you as what we call a certified personal trainer. It gives you your CPT license, right? But you don't actually need to be a CPT to train people. It is not illegal for you to just call yourself a wellness professional, you know, or a fitness enthusiast or anything like that, and then take someone to the gym and show them what to do. That's totally not outside the realm of what is legal. Some states you're not supposed to do that. But you can call yourself even a personal trainer, as long as you don't call yourself a certified personal trainer, as long as you don't say you're a CPT. You are not frauding anyone. But here's the thing. Here's the catch-22. If it's not illegal, that may sound like it's like, all right, well, then what's holding me back? Why do I need to even get this NASM thing, right? Most gyms, I mean, and when I say most, I pretty much mean all, gyms belong to the IHRSA. They belong to this club, the International Health Racquetball Sports Club Association. And in order to belong to that club, I'm sure they have to pay dues or whatever every year. But they also have to follow the club's rules in order to remain a member. One of those rules is that they will only hire, it recommends earning a certification from an organization that has received accreditation, or at least is in the process of receiving accreditation, from an accrediting body like the NCCA, which is the government level certification that allows NASM to let, you pass your NASM, you get to call yourself a CPT. So this is kind of a weird web. I know the connection here is really odd, but the IHRSA is not like the government. They're just a private company. But without that, the approval of that private company, no gym is going to hire you. They just won't. You could be in the process of getting your license and they might take you on. They've gotten pretty relaxed about that in the last few years, what we've noticed, because the fitness industry is just growing like crazy. So there's just kind of a need for more personal trainers. So I know a lot of gyms have kind of relaxed a little bit and they'll say, okay, you don't have to be certified yet, but if you can prove to me that you're getting your certification, I'll bring you on now. And it has to happen within the next, and they'll give you like a timeline, 3 months or whatever. But that's the IHRSA's rule. And it has to be at a certain level. Because here's the thing. Let's just Google this here. This is going to screw up my ads forever. But let's Google personal training certification. Now, there's going to be all of the legit ones are going to be up top. There's NASM very first. ACE is second. ISSA, NASM again. Let's see here. Let's try cheapest, fastest personal training certification. I'm just looking for one that I honestly don't really recognize. So these are all the big ones. Okay, there we go. There we go. There's three. So ISSA is a good one. NCSF is not bad. NASM is obviously kind of the industry leader. But look here, there's Online Trainer Academy, or PT Distinction. So those are you probably walk away with some type of certification, meaning that a person created a class. They put that class up on the internet and, created learning materials for it, but they are not NCCA accredited institutions, right? They're not at the level that NASM is at. So the NCCA has a lot of rules that NASM has to follow in order to certify people as a CPT. So in order to do that, in order to call yourself a CPT, you have to do all these rules. And here's what the rules are. This is stuff you guys need to remember because this is going to be something you do for the rest of your career. First, you have to pass a 100 question exam. Okay. Now, really quickly, I should say, just so you guys are aware, it'll be 120 questions the day you go to take your test. Now, that's not because they're trying to make the test harder. It's just that there are these survey questions that are going to be fed into your test. And there's going to be 20 survey questions. Those 20 survey questions have nothing to do with, they're not in the regular textbook. So let's say like you didn't come to Sochi. Let's say you just read the textbook like crazy. You memorized all the information. You didn't have any extra materials. You didn't watch any videos. You didn't learn anything else. You literally you have a photographic memory. You memorized the textbook, right? If you went in and, you memorized it, right? And you know every answer to every question like perfectly, you would get all 100 questions totally correct, because all 100 questions come directly out of your textbook only. But those 20 survey questions, they might come from, you know, you guys have got that sports book, right, that we're going to be using in a couple weeks. Maybe it's a question out of there. They'll throw a question in there from like their online blog to see if people are reading the blog. And basically those survey questions are like, if they see more people are getting higher scores who also got, you know, this particular survey question, where it's like, okay, well, the people who are reading that material did better, we'll put that type of material in the next edition of the textbook. So that's how they like refine their materials and keep going. Every company actually does that. The one thing that does drive me crazy about those survey questions is, unfortunately, they are not just like at the beginning or at the end of your test. They are going to be mixed in to your test randomly, which sucks because it kind of shakes your confidence when you're, you know, you feel like you don't know something. I wish they wouldn't do that, but that's how they do it. There's going to be, you have to pass a 100-question exam with 70% or higher. So you need to get 70 questions right. The 20 survey questions, if you get those right, they don't help you. If you get them wrong, they also don't hurt you. They are nothing. Okay. It's, you know, Mickey Mouse bucks. So that is the first thing you need to do. First thing you need to do, you need to get certified as a CPT, a certified personal trainer, right? Then the other thing that you need to do in order to be a certified personal trainer, the NCCA's rules are that you have to, in order to remain a current personal trainer, you have to maintain your accreditation by participating in continuing education units, or CEUs, okay? So what CEUs are, they are units that have been approved by NASM for recertification. So basically NASM is going to review your materials and say, that's worth this many points. So if you go to NASM's website, you have to, and by the way, you have to earn 2.0 CEUs every 2 years, okay? That's your job. And then the other rule of that is that 0.1 of it has to be CPR. So you are required to pass your test, and then every 2 years, you need to recertify by taking a course of some type, earning 2.0 continuing education units, renew your CPR, and then you know, earn up to 2.0, and then pay your recertification fee, which is like $99. Now, here's what's really cool. You can see if you go to the continuing education tab at NASM, there are a lot of little courses here that you can take. They got 63 different products here, right? One is a nutrition certification, and that's not, you know, you can see it's normally $900. Looks like they're selling it on sale right now, but it's worth 1.9 NASM CEUs. You'll notice it also says it's worth AFA CEUs and ACE CEUs. Those are other companies that offer personal training certifications. So what's kind of cool is, like, you know, one of the things we're going to talk about, you don't have to go with NASM recertifications. You can always go with another company as well. But you'll see this is worth 1.9. So 1.9 plus the 0.1 that you're going to get from CPR every 2 years, there's your 2.0. You've turned in your paperwork, NASM recertifies you. Then let's see, there's some other ones, right? Here's the weight loss specialization. You guys will recognize this. Some of you will. Actually only Andres, Isaiah, Dalen, and Kenny, you guys will recognize this. This is PFT 110. This is our weight loss class that's at the end of next mod. And so there we go. And guess what? It's worth 1.9 CEUs. We taught you guys all of this material. So, you know, you didn't buy this certification, but in 2 years, when you guys need to get recertified, pop on the website, buy this freaking thing, go pass your test instantly, because you'll remember a lot of the information. It'll be, you know, in your notes. Keep your notes, guys. You can see there's the virtual coaching one. This is a new one. This is actually one that I'm going through right now for my recertification. It's only worth 1.5 though. So I'd have to do some other stuff. It's not bad. We're thinking about implementing it we're thinking about putting it into the program, but we'll see. There's behavior change. This is from last mod, our exercise psychology class. It's worth 1.9. So you can see that we've actually kind of built in a lot of these CEU classes as our curriculum. So you guys are going to really know how to pass a lot of these. But let's say you don't want to go with a NASM one. Let's go to ACSM recertification classes. Let's take a look. Let's say, you get fed up with NASM. You're going to keep your certification, but you're just going to recertify, but you don't want to give them any more money. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. But let's just say you want to go with something like ACSM, who is NASM's biggest competitor. So they've got, oh, that's not working. Come on, give me a recertification courses. There we go. Continuing education. That's what I should have searched. So maybe you want to take the ACSM exercise physiologist certification, or maybe you want to take the ACSM. Actually, that's the same one. Maybe you want to take COVID-19 special considerations for sports. There's a lot of specialty courses like certified inclusive fitness trainer. I'm assuming that's a senior population. Health and Fitness Journal, worksite promotion for continuing education. These are all classes. These are different bundles that you can buy, and they're worth a certain amount of CEUs. You will notice, it'll say it somewhere. How much is it worth? Oh, weird. It should say. Oh, it's worth 0.5. It's worth 5 CECs. So that actually, this is not a very big course. This would be worth 0.5 NASM CEUs. So this one would be worth 0.2. ACSM does like a lot of little tiny ones. That's why they sell these. That's why they sell these bundles. So you don't have to go with NASM. You can go with TRX, for instance. TRX is not necessarily a personal training only company. TRX is their own company that does suspension training, right? Well, if you were to take actually any of those, if you were to take a TRX suspension training course, it would be worth, I want to say 0.8. .7. So it'd be worth 0.7. So that's what you need to do, guys. You need to kind of work your way up to 2.0 in order to maintain your certification. Now, last thing I'll show you is how easy this is. So this is a list that NASM puts out, their continuing education providers list. Where is it? All right, well, I guess this will work. There used to be like a big PDF. All right, look at how many freaking things there are. Every one of these, 305 fitness, 9-round kickboxing. They're all different certifications. Look at this, watch me scroll. There are tons of them. So you don't necessarily always have to go with NASM, but these things allow you to develop your niche. By the way, remember that guy we watched a video of yesterday or a couple days ago, Brent Brookbush? He's got like an entire freaking page of these things. Brookbush. Like, look at how many freaking certifications he has, has to offer rather. Still not the end of his list, still going. There we go, finally got it. So that's your stuff, guys. Those are your rules. You need to make sure you pass your exam. And then you can, start working as a trainer. You can train privately now. It's not illegal. It really isn't. But you're never going to get hired without a actual certification. Also, your certification is what keeps you legally safe. If you ever did not have a personal training certification and you hurt someone and that someone decided to sue you, you would go up, it would basically, you'd have to prove like, prove to me that you're an expert. And you'd be like, well, I know this and this and this and this and this, right? No one's going to give you the time to say all that. If you need to prove you're an expert, the only way to really do that is to show them your personal training license. You show them that and it's like, great, I believe you're an expert. Accidents happen, So you guys are walking away with your first 2 years covered, by the way, just so you're aware. So the day you pass your test, let's say everybody on this call right now, let's say you passed your test tomorrow, right? Then every May 29th, not every May 29th, every other May 29th, every 2 years, you would need to have finished 2 CEUs within that 2-year grace period. Well, you guys are walking away with the CES certification, that's corrective exercise, and the FNS, Fitness Nutrition Specialist. You're walking away with both of those. Each of them is worth 2.0 on their own. So you're going to be covered in 2 ways. Now, just because you're earning 4 with both these doesn't mean it's going to last 4 years. It's still only every 2 years. But basically, everybody in here is walking away with 3 certifications: your main CPT, your CES, and your FNS. And that's going to cover your first 2-year certification. So if you were to pass your test tomorrow, then sometime before May 29th, 2023, you will need to have passed one of these and turned the paperwork into NASM and go get and renew your CPR. You do all those things, you'll be certified until 2025. And then in that grace period, you'll have to earn 2.0 more. All right, so that's kind of a long conversation about how to stay certified. Any questions on that, guys? Is any of that confusing? Anybody? You guys alive? All right. So let's talk about like where to work in the industry, right? So we got like a lot of different places in here, right? Different places that you can work. First one we're going to take a look at is kind of your classic big box gym, right? So like I said, there's a lot of different places. They all kind of need a different sort of personality, a different sort of niche. It depends on like what type of skills you are building as a personal trainer. There's a lot of wiggle room in this industry. So you should learn about what these clubs are like in order for you to determine like what you think is going to be the most fun environment that you want to work in. So first we're going to take a look at is your classic big box gym. Okay, this is a large scale fitness facility. When we talk about LA Fitness, 24-hour fitness, Crunch, Gold's Gym, any of those kind of classic, huge, corporate gyms, right? This is kind of what we're talking about here. So, what's great about these is they are very specifically branded. You kind of know what you're getting when you walk in there. They are all very similar to each other. You'll hear people say, you'll hear salespeople sometimes at LA Fitness be like, oh no, we're more exclusive. We're better than 24. And then you'll hear 24 say, oh no, like we do things that LA Fitness. They're all the same. Like, honestly, they're all very, very corporate. They know exactly what works. They've done, tens of hundreds of thousands of members over, decades now. And so everything is very formulaic, which is great because now you know exactly what to expect and they kind of know what works. So as long as you're kind of following that specific branding, it's pretty helpful. There's multiple locations, which has the added advantage if you ever decide to move. You can probably pick up a job pretty quickly wherever it is you're heading and just transfer. And honestly, this is where most of the money in the personal training industry is spent. These gyms make more money than any other part of the fitness industry, even like at-home equipment. And they are the largest employer of fitness professionals. So this is where a lot of people will sort of show up. Now you can see this kind of key characteristics here. This table is so weird. It's very hard to read. It's like way too much information on one slide, but basically here's all the kind of key characteristics. You know, they have a very large marketing budget because, you know, they're a brand name. Oftentimes they're going to have special facilities. A lot of times they are going to have, you know, like a pool, a spa. They'll often have like a kids club. They'll often have like a very simple juice bar or a little cafe or something like that. You know, they are trying to appeal to as many people as possible. That's what a large scale fitness company does. So they're going to have a little bit of everything. They are the classic example of, you know, a jack of all trades, master of none, you know. Do any of these gyms do anything particularly better than any other gym? In my opinion, not really. That's not their purpose. They are meant to be, you know, vanilla ice cream. Yeah, it's fine. You know, it's no, you know, rocky road. But like it definitely gets the job done. It scratches the itch, you know. That's what a big box gym is for, you know. Even Planet Fitness. I was actually looking at, you know, I've got like my at-home gym, so I don't have a gym membership anymore. But I was like, every now and then, I was like, I'd like to kind of do some tempo workouts on like a treadmill. And I was like, $10 a month for a friggin' Planet Fitness membership isn't really all that intimidating. And I was thinking about, you know, that'd be perfect because all I need is a, you know, I'm not going to use it for any of the strength training stuff. I'd just use it for the cardio, you know. So they got me with a low price point, and they got treadmills. You know, like the things that I'm like, you know, kind of considering in the back of my head. So anyway, common clientele that you're going to see. We definitely want to know about like who's going to be at these type of gyms, right? If you're selling to these people, we want to know like, you know, who it is we're selling to. Well, generally it's going to be a lot of families. You're going to see a lot of like, you know, married couples. A lot of times they'll have kids because kids club is a thing at most corporate gyms. These are usually populations that work and live in the neighborhood. One little statistic that's in your textbook that I find kind of interesting is that, what do you guys think the number one, I'm going to take a survey here. So get your mics unmuted. Question for you guys. What do you think the number one thing that someone considers when signing up for a gym membership? What's the most important thing that they consider?
Cost.
Price? Hours of operation?
No, to become more healthier, more fit.
Wherever they can get the fittest?
Cost.
I would say good equipment and cleanness.
Good equipment and cleanliness. All right. So all of those things are going to be considered. The price, the cleanliness, how well it can help them get fit, the hours of operation. That's huge, right? 24-hour fitness kind of built themselves on that. But do you know what the number one thing is? Location. People will pick the gym closest to them without even considering the ones around. And I'll tell you, I've seen that to be very true, you know, where like I've been a great trainer and I'm like, hey, I'm not going to work here anymore. I'm moving to this much nicer gym, you know, a couple miles from here. And my clients are like, oh, really? I don't want to stop working with you. And it's like, great, come sign up for this other gym. And they're like, it's just not as close to my house. You know, it's crazy, guys. People want convenience. That's the first thing most people consider. Don't get me wrong. All of your answers were correct for sure. I don't like working at a gym that's filthy. I don't like working out at a gym that has hours where I can't, you know, obviously go. And I am real cheap. As a person, you can thank my mom. I am super frugal, you know. But like, you know, this is the biggest thing that people consider is the location. So most of the populations that you're working with are going to live in the area. This is an important thing to remember. This concept is going to come back when we get to our 4 P's of marketing. When we look at our place and our promotion, you know, you need to make sure that you are marketing your fitness business in a location that is not only going to be successful, but also where your style of training matches the population area. because that's who's going to come. Generally, your clientele tend to be a little bit financially conservative. Lorianne, like you were saying, price, that's a big one, right? Generally, people who are looking to not spend a ton of money on their gym membership. That is who, that's why they go to places like 24. Although that being said, like honestly, 24 and LA Fitness are actually kind of expensive at this point. At least in comparison to like Crunch, which is absolutely crushing it, and they have a membership available for I think $15 a month. They have I think they have like a $25 a month version with guest privileges. That's that's like $12.50 a month if you're bringing your spouse every day. Awesome. These are also going to be the type of people who tend to prefer established, like proven programs. A lot of times 24-hour fitness, LA Fitness, Crunch, they all have some type of like branded version of something that they offer. And people are like looking for exactly that. So like, for instance, Crunch has this thing called the Power Half Hour, which is basically like every one of their gyms has this same series of machines. It's like 12 machines or something like that. And you basically work on every one of those machines. Actually, it looks nothing like this, which is kind of funny. Timetable? That's weird. It's this right here. I didn't want to watch a video, but we'll keep it muted. So it's basically like this series of machines here, and you just work your way from one to the next, 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 taking your way through like the entire thing, and it takes about a half hour. Pretty cool, right? Like, I mean, some people are really into that. That's exactly, that's exactly what they're looking for. They're like, I don't want to have to think about what machine to head to next. I just want to, keep it really simple. So they're looking for a proven, established program. They like the idea. It's like, well, LA Fitness is huge. Clearly, that's the best gym to go to because they're successful. And then the other type of people that you're going to want are people who prefer like a la carte access. And what I mean by that is they want that little bit of everything. They want a pool and access to a spa and access to some free weights and a barbell. They want that jack of all trades, master of none situation. So that's the general type of clientele you're going to be dealing with. So now, if you're a trainer and you're trying to sell, personal training to someone, you know exactly how you're going to market it, right? If it's a family, you're going to say like, hey, we offer small group training if you want to do like the whole family. I'll train all three of you guys. Maybe it's populations who like obviously like live in the neighborhood. It's like, hey, like we're going to be here. I'm going to help you roll out of bed every morning and get your butt down here. It's only a couple blocks away, financially more conservative, your prices are going to be a little bit lower, which means you're going to earn less. That is something to take into account. But a lot of times your sales pitch will involve like, hey, our prices are really reasonable. Or maybe you're going to market to the fact that people want this a la carte access. You're going to be like, we've got a little bit of everything, right? And you're going to bring that up. So that's the clientele who are going to be at a large scale facility. Now, organizational settings, what it's like to work in places like this. So I started my career at LA Fitness. So I was going to school for exercise phys. That's not true. I was going to school for exercise science. I was in school and it offered an NASM program for seniors. You could basically go through like, it was an NASM like program, once you get to the end of your senior stuff. But I was working at an LA Fitness in the front desk, which did not pay very well. And I was really struggling to make my way through college. And I was like, man, I got to find a higher paying job somehow. And so I approached my parents and I was like, hey, I know I'm in school to learn how to be a personal trainer, but and I know that certification thing is going to be part of my tuition later, but like, I need to start working now. And I think I could pass the test. Can you loan me like, $700, and I went and passed my test and started working as a trainer while I was in school still. And it was great, it was a great way to make a lot more money than I was making at the front desk. They hired me on because they knew who I was. And I started working at my first clients like at LA Fitness. And here's the thing, LA Fitness does not really pay that well. But it was definitely a lot more money than I was making at the front desk. And it was literally how I survived college. So organizational settings here, I'll give you the very realistic rundown, because here's the thing. People will tell you, you will hear that like, oh, they're going to treat you like crap in a big box gym. LA Fitness treats you like junk. 24-hour Fitness treats you like junk. They treat their employees poorly. Honestly, guys, that's not very true. But they do not treat you well. Any of them. They're corporate places. You are a number in the system. They don't treat you poorly. They just nothing you. They don't love or dislike you. That's what it's like to work at a big box gym. Now, there are some advantages to this. What's great about that is a lot of times you have a lot of autonomy. True story, the managers at the LA Fitness I worked at was one of the most competitive LA Fitnesses in the country. Once I moved down here to LA, started working at the Universal City LA Fitness, which is like one of their biggest locations. And so because of that, it's super competitive. And they were constantly moving training managers, my direct boss, right? And so they were moving them so often. There were so many times where they were like, hey, you want to go, my coworkers, right? Fellow trainers, they were like, you want to go meet the new boss? And I was like, no. Like, it's like, you don't want to go meet the new guy? I was like, no, I don't care. I don't care about them. Like, I have my client list. I'm already set up. My clients are renewing consistently. I don't need to meet them. And there was literally a time where like, I did not learn my direct boss's name. And it came back to bite me in the butt, by the way, because like several years later, a client who I'm still like in touch with gives me a call and is like, hey, I'm having lunch with your old boss. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And he's like, yeah, say hi. And he was like, hey, Brad, how you doing? I was like, hey, man, how are you? I was like, sorry, which manager is this? I kind of had a lot of bosses. And it was like, I'm here with Mike. And I was like, I have no idea who that is. Like, I do not remember a Mike, not even a little. And I didn't say that, luckily, but it was a very awkward phone call. And I was like on speakerphone with like a girl that I just started dating. So then it made me seem terrible. I remember being like really self-conscious about it. Anyway, so yeah, so that's what it's like to work in a corporate gym. It's, it's very, you're a number in the system, and that's okay. Because that means you can kind of get away with having your style of doing things and no one's going to notice. You're going to have your clients, it's your list, it's great. So there is professional new trainer onboarding, which is really cool. I will say they will train you up on their processes and their systems very well, because you got to remember that training manager has trained 1,000 people by this point. So he's going to be like, here's how you use the system. Here's how you click this. This is going to be a little bit slow sometimes. So the fastest way to get around that is to click this button right here. They're going to be really great at that. These big box gyms, I mean, this is common everywhere, but these big box gyms they sort of, really got it down to a system. The complimentary new fitness assessment, it's part of their membership, right? So a lot of times, the built-in free 1-hour session is built into this sort of corporate structure. They have mastered that, which is great because, again, your fitness assessment, guys, it's your #1 sales tool. So this is a really handy thing to do. So we love that. You will need to make room in your schedule for complimentary assessments, which is kind of a pain in the butt because that means you're not going to get paid your training rate. You'll probably get paid, honestly, probably minimum wage. But it's 1 hour out of your day, and if it gets you a client who signs up and then you get a commission bonus, super worth it. Yeah, you lost you know, maybe, I don't know, what's minimum wage, like 12 in California. Is it 15 now? Did they do that? You know, you normally make like 30 an hour. So you lost $15 to do this fitness assessment, but then you made a $200 commission. Totally worth it, you know? So that is something that will be expected of you though, is to make room in your schedule if you can. You often, okay, so those are some of the good things. Another good thing, the management will often assist you in getting your first leads. Leads are going to be something we talk about later, but that's basically names and phone numbers for people for you to call about approaching for personal training. Management will often help you with that, or they will straight up stick new members with you. So like somebody signs up for a gym membership, the sales team's job is to then say, well, you get a 1 hour personal training session and then transfer it over to you. But sales team's either busy, or maybe you don't have a great relationship with them because you've been busy training your clients. So you didn't get to become like friendly, and now they don't know who you are. And so maybe they just forget to schedule you. Your training management will help you with that, which is great. So there's a big benefit to working in a big box gym. Now, drawback, you have very little control over your scheduled hours. Like I said, these places, nothing you. They're looking for who can work the most. Yeah, you might be the most highly certified, best trainer in your gym, but like if you're like, hey, I can't work those hours because I'm, you know, working across town at this other boot camp or something, your boss is going to be like, well, I kind of need you here. And if you can't do that, then I'll just find somebody who can be here. They nothing you. They don't treat you poorly. They nothing you. It's almost worse sometimes. So that is something to be aware of. They will probably expect you to do split shifts. They'll expect a lot of things of you. Now, that being said, obviously, you can, you know, they're still humans. So be kind, be friendly, talk to your boss and say like, hey, I'm just not available. You know, I used to run into that problem pretty consistently. You know, I had a lot of clients, like one of the things that I have kind of built my career around, because I'm not a big fan of doing a lot of sales. You know, sales to me are a means to an end. It is how I can help the most people. By being good at sales, I can help more people, and that's what's important to me. So I'm good enough at them. But what I'm really good at is client retention. My clients get to the end of their package, I get them to want to sign up for the next package. That's, you know, what I've always kind of built my career on. That is good because it earns you like a really good like redemption, consistent paycheck. The drawback to that is you earn less commission bonuses because your clients often sign up for really big packages, which is a big commission in the beginning. But then next month, it's like, hey, you're way down on your sales quota. And it's like, I'm working 35 hours this week, you know, like I'm swamped. Like I've got a full client load. That's why I can't do any more sales. So sometimes you'll run into conversations like that with your bosses. Now, luckily, guys, gyms have started recognizing that. You know, things have gotten better since, since I started like leaving sort of the corporate gym world. Nowadays, they have bonuses on both sides of that equation. Most gyms, I know Gold's Gym does this. I know Crunch does this. I don't know about 24 or LA Fitness. And I know Equinox does this. Those three have both, they have two types of commissions. You will get a commission bonus for selling a certain amount of training. You'll get a bonus on your paycheck. But you will also, that was close. You will also get a redemption bonus. And what a redeeming bonus is the more hours you work, the more you are burning through client sessions, you can get a bonus on that. So kind of what you want to do, the strategy, if you will, is to get like a commission bonus, you know, in January and get a redemption bonus in February and get a commission bonus, you know, in March and kind of work your way back and forth between those two. And that's how you're going to kind of maximize your paycheck. So getting your clients to buy larger packages is great for getting a redemption bonus, or I'm sorry, a commission bonus, but then suddenly you're not going to train anybody. You're not going to sell any more memberships for a long time. But if you train and burn through those sessions, now you're going to get a redemption bonus. Does that make sense? So yeah, so you'll see that in a lot of those big box gyms. Now, next type of place you're going to work, medium-sized fitness facilities. Now, this is a little bit more independent, right? These are usually like independently owned, smaller facilities, maybe 1 or 2 locations, right? But definitely like not necessarily, quite as large, like I would have said USA Fit. I guess USA Fitness is getting a little bit corporate. There's actually getting to be a lot of those nowadays. But for a little while when they were brand new, oftentimes they also have that commercial grade equipment for cardio and strength training, which is good. They're going to have all the kind of classic machines and things like that, classic free weight sections. But they're similar, and their profit is very similar to a large scale gym. They just haven't necessarily like scaled up, right? And usually these locations are a little bit smaller. So because they haven't scaled up and their locations tend to be a little bit smaller, they often have less machines. They still have like all the basics, they're going to have treadmills. They're going to have like, like a chest press machine, but maybe that adductor abductor machine that's like very superfluous, very unnecessary. They're not going to have something like that. But they will have like the same amount of free weights and things like that. Maybe they're not going to have a row of like 7 bench presses, but they'll have 2, maybe 3. Key characteristics you're going to see here. Usually it'll be like a large workout area. These places tend to be a little bit less specialized. Like usually like LA Fitness, 24 Hour Fitness, a lot of times they have like areas. Most of the time medium fitness centers are just kind of one big empty room, They're usually located in more suburban areas rather than like densely populated. They don't want to have to compete with the Gold's Gym that's down the street. So a lot of times they're a little bit more suburban. Often these are run as like small businesses, which is kind of cool. There's going to be some advantages and disadvantages to that we'll talk about. And usually their membership prices are a little bit lower, which can definitely be like appealing for some of our clients. So the type of clients that we generally tend to get, also very fiscally conservative. They're looking for, a low membership cost. And they are focusing, these are usually people who are focused a little bit more on the ability to actually work out. A lot of times you are going to see a little bit more of the advanced clientele at this type of gym. Isaiah, we were kind of talking about this yesterday, right? You're not necessarily always going to get like major power lifters as clients. A lot of times they're going to be people who are trying to learn how to get into shape, not people who are trying to get to the next level. But that does still happen. If you're working in a medium-sized facility, that's usually where that's going to happen. It's usually people who, it's like a bodybuilder who's just, not interested in being in the corporate setting because he gets yelled at for dropping weights or something, usually it's members who can get away with a little bit more in a medium facility because everybody knows each other. It's kind of like a small town. Sometimes people will join for a specific class or a specific staff member. Like I said, when I would and every time I ever move from one gym to another, because maybe I found a better opportunity, a lot of times my clients would come with me, not all of them, obviously, but some. And so sometimes that's why people join, or maybe they join for a specific class, a spin instructor that's really good or something. And then you will often see a lot of college students and working professionals. Again, these are usually in very suburban areas, maybe near universities and things like that. Now, the organizational setting is actually usually pretty similar to your big box gym. So in a big box gym, you're going to have a general manager, usually called an operations manager. They're in charge of the gym as a business, right? They're kind of the head honcho, the GM, right? Then underneath them, you're going to have someone who manages the front desk. Sometimes those are the same person, but maybe you have a front desk manager. You're going to have a sales team. You're going to have a sales manager, and you're going to have a personal training department, and you're going to have a personal training manager. So your direct boss is going to be the PT manager. They're going to answer to the operations manager. That is pretty similar in big box gyms as it is in medium-sized facilities. However, a lot of times, the training manager because there's not like, a training manager in a big box gym has to manage like 20, 30 trainers, right? In a medium facility, it might be like 5 or 6. So a lot of times your boss will often have his or her own client list or something like that. So if that's the case, the organizational setting may be similar, but you may get less on the job training. Your boss has clients to attend to. So they're like, you good? You know how to be a trainer? Awesome. See ya. Like get to work, you'll often sometimes get a little bit less coaching. What's great is you'll often have a little bit more of a personal relationship with this person. Like I said, it's not quite as corporate. So a lot of times like you can be a little bit more friendly. But while that may be less complicated, it does lead to less on-the-job training. So I sometimes recommend to my students who want to, work for a gym, go to a large-scale gym at first. That way you can learn, sort of the ins and outs of like how to kind of work through your sessions and stuff, kind of cut your teeth. And then once you feel like you've advanced, and by the way, 6 months to a year, really shouldn't take that long. Move over to a medium-sized fitness facility. They'll pay you a little bit better and they'll be a little less corporate. You'll actually get to know your boss's name. Next one we're going to see is a little bit of a different style. Now, you guys are getting a personal training certification. You are not getting a group exercise trainer certification. You are not going to be aerobics instructors. You're going to be personal trainers. That being said, this is a one-way street. If you are a personal trainer, it is usually enough to get you hired as a group fitness instructor. But if you had a group fitness instructor certification, it is not enough to get you hired as a personal trainer. Does that make sense? So what's cool is you guys might find yourself teaching group exercise classes. It's a little bit of a different skill set. Dalen, we were just talking, you used to teach step aerobics, right? So, that might be something you find yourself back into. Well, this is where small group training facilities kind of come in. Now, these are usually very small in size. They focus on using like specific pieces of equipment. You can see this example here, right? This is a gym that's built entirely around TRX, right? It's got a front door. It's got some cubbies. It doesn't have lockers, right? You just throw your stuff in there, start class, do your TRX suspension training. It's great. This is a successful business, right? What's their overhead? Their rent, electricity, water, gas. And then they had to buy some framing here, put in floors, and hang a bunch of suspension trainers. These are each about $200 each. So like their startup costs, not that bad. And maybe they run X number of classes a day. Maybe they throw those things up on the rafters and then they teach yoga here as well. That's often what a small group training facility is. They have like a specific niche, they're focused on it, and that's what they do. Your classic CrossFit gym is a good example of this. I'm just going to Google pictures of CrossFit gyms. It's a small facility. They've got some squat racks here, some deadlift platforms here, rowing machines, and a little turf area. Simple, right? This looks like somebody's garage almost, right? So that's really what we're looking for. They usually focus on very efficient equipment, right? Squat racks along the wall or something like that. You can see these little bars up here where they can hang suspension trainers from or gymnast rings. All that kind of stuff, battle ropes. That's a really efficient piece of equipment. Stuff that takes up a very small amount of space. Oh yeah. Did you guys see this? This was up when they were doing coronavirus stuff. They were putting up these plastic like boxes. So anyway, there we go. That's a great example. This is a little bit larger, but still very, it's just the same equipment over and over and over again. They got a couple specialized stuff. They got one little GHD glute ham developer there. So a little bit smaller, usually focused on one specific type of equipment. They're often in storefronts a lot of times. You guys probably seen that, or people's garages even. And they focus on like a few niche activities, which actually is a really successful training model, guys. Like you guys are walking out of here with your CES and your FNS, right? So maybe you call yourself a personal trainer, or maybe you just call yourself a corrective exercise specialist. Now suddenly people are going to see you as, oh, I have low back pain, right? And then they're going to think of you. So like having a niche is great because, and we'll talk more about that when we're talking about resumes and cover letters and stuff. But developing your niche, guys, it's one of the best things you can do. You know, what do you want to be known for in the training industry? Me, I've always kind of built my career around corrective exercise. And whenever I go into a gym, I always tell my boss, I'm like, you got people with knee problems, back problems, shoulder problems, ankle problems, send them to me. And my boss is like, great. Nobody wants to train those people. Those are the hardest, right? Great. I'm excited, you know? Somebody else, maybe they go to their boss and like, you got youths, send them my way. I'm a youth trainer, right? Cool. Everybody's gonna be a little different. So your common characteristics here, you know, they're catering to people who are looking for a specific niche. Their CrossFit is looking, you know, they're selling CrossFit, right? You're not expecting somebody, they're not trying to attract someone who comes into like a gym and says like, hey, do you guys have like a kids club and like a hot tub? You know, that's not the type of clientele they're looking for. Most of these are very independently operated. You're often going to know the owner if you're working in a place like this. There's usually a very small number of employees. That's kind of cool because you're going to build a really strong relationship. Disadvantage to that, a lot of times you're going to have multiple responsibilities that sometimes don't seem like being a personal trainer. I remember I started working at a niche place for a little while. I only worked there for probably 3 months. But it was like, all right, so when you're closing up, we want you to go through this process. And it was like, fold all these towels, you know, sweep the floor and vacuum, and then go scrub the toilet out with this toilet brush and do this and that. And I was like, oh, yeah, not really what I got my degree for, you know? So I didn't work that long. It wasn't really my style. Not saying it's bad, just saying that, you know, wasn't something I was interested in. So that's the organizational setting that we're going to kind of see there. So common clientele, you're usually finding people who are looking for, you know, who enjoy group exercise. You know, CrossFit, the big joke, right, is CrossFit's a freaking cult. You know, like, people get addicted and they're like, I gotta go back, you know. It's like me and my ultimate Frisbee obsession. You know what I mean? Like people love it. That's the type of clientele you're looking for. You know, your common clientele are the people who are super stoked to be in like a group exercise setting, you know. They're at home and they're like, I don't want to go. I'm sore from last time. Oh, but Bob's going to be there. And I promised him you know, like, that's great. Like that motivates people sometimes. These are people who usually view working out as like a social activity, you know. They like the idea of being coached. These are group training facilities. So a lot of times they like the idea of like having someone tell them what to do. And usually we're seeing a lot of like young people who are in places like this. Usually like working professionals who are like, you know, one of the appeals of CrossFit is that it's always under an hour. You show up, knock it out, go home. Organizational setting, it's going to be different everywhere you go, obviously. Every group exercise facility is different than the other. So organizational settings are going to be pretty varied here. But like I said, you're often going to know the owner. You're probably working for them directly. They're the owner manager. Maybe they teach a class here or there. And so because of that, it can be kind of hard to get into a place like this. One of the disadvantages to working in group training is that you simply can't work there. You know, it's like 5 or 6 employees, and those employees are all happy. They're making a good salary. They like what they do. They don't have any reason to leave. So a lot of times there's very few turnover. So there's very few job openings. Best way to get hired at a place like this, guys, is to just stay in contact and reach out, you know, every couple months or so. And then I love this. We got the bougie gyms. So now we got the high-end boutique facilities. Those of you who are looking at working at Equinox, or if you're looking at working at Spectrum, or what's that freaking one? Oh God. God dang it. LA Athletic Club. Yeah, it is. LA Athletic Club. Maybe you decide to work here. This is downtown. Their memberships are actually not that bad. It's like $100 a month membership, which obviously is a lot. But like when you see this place is amazing. This is downtown. They started doing, they you can see they got their COVID stuff up, but they are the oldest gym on the West Coast, and they are also a hotel. Which is very interesting. And so they have a restaurant in there. I got a haircut there once. They have a barber as part of like their entire like salon. It's a club. It is not just a gym membership. But if you look at like their athletics section, they have, you know, a full basketball court that is absolutely incredible. They have group exercise classes. They have 2 pools. You can see, God dang it, this is all the freaking COVID stuff. There's the really amazing basketball court, and there's like all the facilities up above it, bunch of racquetball, bunch of tennis. It is an entire, you know, not skyscraper, but an entire building that is this one big gym. And it's bougie. It's real bougie, you know. You sweat, it hits the ground, somebody's there behind you mopping it up instantly, you know what I mean? So boutique high-end facilities, right? These usually have like a pretty big range, big scope. They generally tend to be a little bit smaller. There's not as many locations. They often also serve a very niche segment, aka people who are high earners. They often specialize in various very specific forms of training. Oftentimes, they have their own in-house certifications, which is kind of cool. So like Equinox, for instance, has Equinox Academy. Equinox Academy is pretty cool. They have, you know, these certifications that they offer. Oh, whoops, I looked up the, no, this one. They have like these specific certifications that they offer that are continuing education. This would work towards your continuing education. Oftentimes working in places like this, they will actually give you a bonus built into your salary, or they'll give you like a stipend that's built in to like pay for these things. So maybe you want to get a Pilates certification or pure yoga. I don't know what pure yoga is. I've never heard of that form, right? But it's the Equinox yoga. Then there's also like oftentimes these have a very luxury feel. These are often, like I said, they have a luxury feel, and they have a luxury, you know, freaking price point. They are relying on the exclusivity of their memberships. So these are people who are, you know, key characteristics here, people who are looking for a luxury fitness experience. They want that private, you know, exclusive. Oftentimes training is a priority for these people. They aren't there just for a gym membership. They are there to hire a personal trainer, which is great because that means that, like, you know, you are going to have a lot of opportunities to train people. However, there is a lot less foot traffic in here, and so there may not be quite as many clients, right? So common clientele are usually very affluent. These are people who earn a lot of money. These are people who generally tend to prefer sort of a resort or club experience rather than just, you know, being a member of a gym. And one of the biggest things here, they value undivided attention. These people are paying a lot of money for that personal training. They, you know, want to absolutely make sure that they are getting their money's worth. So make sure, you know, it's especially, you should always be paying attention to your clients anyways, but it's especially important to like give them very personalized attention. Organizational settings, the membership prices are much, much higher. So you need to be comfortable with charging those much higher prices. You can they expect their trainers to have a very specialized skill set, which is definitely a thing. They're expecting you to like often have like a couple certifications under your belt. This is actually why Equinox loves Sochi so much. For the record, we have a really, really good relationship with Equinox, guys. A lot of our students end up getting hired here, and they pay really well. Again, like this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, what does this have to do with fitness? It doesn't, but it's cool and bougie looking, you know. So yeah, a lot of times, like, you know, we're looking at like models, not so much clients. But that's what Equinox has kind of built their whole business around, right? It's meant to be sexy, you know what I mean? But they really do like to hire Sochi students, because our students come away with, you know, 3 certifications, and they love that. You know, you've already kind of got your niche a little bit. Also, they like that you're very green. Their organizational structure is kind of similar to small group studios in that, you know, there's usually a lot less like staff. You know, there's going to be less trainers because there's less foot traffic, which means the organizational setting is kind of more simple, right? I will say Equinox is actually kind of the exception of that. Equinox gyms are boutique, they are bougie, but they have taken the corporate gym structure and somehow like married the two. Equinox feels very much like corporate gyms, but they also are very boutique, you know, very nice. So that's definitely like a small exception that we're going to see there.
Question, Brad.
Yeah, please.
So I work at Equinox now, and just
Oh.
like not training or anything, just, you know, regular front desk. But
Sure.
I talk to a lot of the trainers, and they tell me that they have to find their own clients. Like they have to walk around. Like at LA Fitness, do they give you guys clients, or do you have to also find your own clients?
Yes. So at Gold's and LA Fitness, so Gold's is like a hybrid. Gold's, you can get your own clients, but then your training manager will help you out a lot. 24, Equinox, places like that, Crunch, you have to find your own clients. So what'll happen is you'll have a training manager who's there to like help you. They'll do an assessment here or there. And then they'll often act as like the liaison between like the sales department and the training department. And, you know, but like, yeah, at LA Fitness, the training managers spend all of their time selling gym memberships. And then once a package is sold, they give the sessions to the trainer, which means you have no opportunity to earn a commission bonus because you didn't do those sales. And also like you get a lower hourly rate. So LA Fitness probably is one of the worst paying gyms out there, but it's also one of the lowest pressure because yeah, you don't have to do sales at first. But yeah, you're expected to do sales in most gyms. That being said though, Jerica, they do, like, the training department is supposed to, like, you know, explain to the new members that they get a free 1-hour training session. That 1-hour session is automatic FaceTime. So your best bet is to get buddy with the sales department and with the front desk. Get to know those two departments. Get your name out there. If you have a gap in your sessions, you should be spending it near the sales department or near the front desk, and help the front desk check members in. You know, all of that's going to be a great way for you to kind of meet people. And yeah, you're going to kind of walk around the gym and, you know, offer suggestions and kind of be there to help. Also, if you're in a sales department, you should be working out at your gym. I personally hate working out at my gyms that I work at. I know that sounds crazy, but I just don't like being bothered during my workouts. I feel like I can never get any peace. My gym time is very sacred to me. But if you're trying to, like, you know, earn a commission, you better have your butt on that floor impressing people so that they come up to you and ask questions, you know? Did I answer your question?
Yes, got it. Thanks. That makes a lot of sense. Because
Yeah.
you know, they said it's more like sales. Like you have to like become friends with them and walk around, answer questions. So it makes a lot of sense that LA Fitness pays less because they're basically giving you
Exactly.
these clients. Yeah.
But here's the
Okay.
thing. It's a great opportunity. Like, you've got such a good, like you've got, you know, you're talkative, you're conversational, you got a fun personality. You know what I mean? So sometimes, like, I had this piece of advice given to me years ago, and I thought it was kind of fun. But the more kind of gregarious and friendly and open and just like kind of a fun person that draws people. If you're just like walking the gym floor and it's, it almost feels like a cartoon or like a sitcom where you're like, hey, Jerry, how's the elbow? Hey, you're looking good there, Tom. Like walking around, you make that kind of relationship, people will sign up. Like people will know
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
and they're stoked. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. It
And
really,
a lot of them are looking for friends,
Yeah.
just people to talk to in general.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what? I wish that we had a class. I wish that we had a 2-day class on just how to handle the inappropriate sometimes things that your clients will share with you.
Mhm.
People get deep, man. And I'm like, I am not qualified. I do not have the life experience. Like when I was like 19, right? And I'm like training people and I've got like, 50-year-old people. It's like, I don't know. Should I leave him? I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I don't know. Like my longest relationship has been like 3 months. Like, what do you want from me? I'm a child. Like, yeah.
Yeah, they just want somebody to talk to.
Yeah, absolutely. People are gonna get deep. So, all right, wrapping up things here. We're gonna talk much more about this later. So this honestly almost doesn't even belong here. But when it comes to job hunting, we do kind of want to tie the conversation to these different types of gyms, right? You need to do a work assessment. And what I mean by that is you need to assess, what do you value? Like we just talked about, like Jarek, if you feel like you're like, I'm going to be great at sales, cool. Equinox is probably the place for you, if you're nervous about it, guys, and you're just like, I hate the idea. I'm never going to feel comfortable doing it. Great. Go to LA Fitness, go to Golds. Golds, you can do sales, but they do help you out a lot from what I've been told. So, figure out like what's most valuable to you. Maybe you find yourself into group exercise, never have to do sales. You show up at the same time consistently. The one disadvantage that teaching group exercise is very rarely will you get to teach 2 classes in a row somewhere. So a lot of times you'll work for LA Fitness and you'll be like, boom, 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 boom. You got to travel to like a bunch of different clubs. You definitely make more in the hour. They pay pretty well hourly, but it's going to cost you gas and travel time and things like that. Although there is Orange Theory and F45. Both of those are like group exercise facilities that you don't have to do sales at. And you are usually teaching like multiple classes in a row. And so you'll teach like, 3 or 4 classes, and then that's the end of your shift. And it's fun. That's 45 or Orange Theory. Orange Theory is another one. They don't pay super well, but anybody who works there loves it. Everybody who works there seems to have such a good time. So, maybe it's worth it. But yeah, that's a very group exercise thing, right? Like maybe this guy, he's teaching whatever this class is right here, and he'll teach like 2 or 3 more in a row, and then that's the end of his shift. So do a work assessment, figure out like what is important to you, and then after you've done that, figure out what your strengths are. What are you good at? Then you can start doing your job hunting. Monster.com is kind of dead, but Indeed is huge. Get yourself a freaking LinkedIn profile, guys. There is also the NASM job board. On NASM's website, they have this job hunting tool right here. I'm kind of curious. Last time I looked this up, it was like literally empty because all the gyms were closed. But if we click search here, oh, there we go. Look, they're looking for a 24-hour. They're looking for a trainer in Buena Park at 24-hour. Crunch Burbank. Oh, Crunch Burbank. That's a good one. This is not your regular Crunch. This is an orange logo, or no, a blue logo Crunch. Wait, whatever. There's 2 different types of crunches. There's Crunch Corporate, and then there's Crunch Signature. This is Crunch Signature, which is orange here, so I guess maybe it's orange. But this pays higher than regular Crunch gyms do, and they're a little bit more specialized. But you can see there's job boards out there all over the place. But get yourself a LinkedIn profile. You guys know how I like to give 1 extra credit assignment per module. The extra credit assignment, this module, I will talk about a little bit more later. But once you have built your resume, If you make a LinkedIn profile, I will give you 5 extra hours of attendance. So for those of you who have maybe missed a day and been absent and you want to make up for that, make yourself a LinkedIn profile and I will give you 5 extra hours. It really is just a super valuable tool. It's not for job hunting, it's just for referencing. So when you put your LinkedIn profile out there, you email somebody, they can see another dynamic version of your resume. And then if you need a social media presence, that might be important to you guys. Facebook, Instagram, have a personal website. Your Facebook and Instagram, if you're going to do that and you're going to make it part of like your business, guys, I really recommend having one that's separate from your regular Facebook or regular Instagram. Make a separate account that is, Kenny the trainer instead of, your regular version. It's just a professionalism thing. You don't want to be preaching about like how to eat and then have, a picture of yourself at In-N-Out after a night of, at the club. We will talk more about working for yourself later. So at the end here, you might find yourself being an independent contractor. Independent contractors are people who basically work under a specific term or contract, often in the version of a verbal agreement. You work as is. So for instance, that could be in a gym. Sometimes the group exercise instructors in gyms are independent contractors. They're not employees of the company. Or maybe you're traveling to people's houses, like if I was training Andres, right? And, he was paying me as his trainer. I'm basically an independent contractor for him. We have an agreement that he will pay 8 sessions and I will train him 8 times. You know what I mean? So that's independent contractor. I'm not his employee, right? I'm just a contractor that does this independent work for him. Sometimes group exercise instructors are independent contractors. A lot of times when you are just having clients in general, you're an independent contractor, whether that's training out of a gym or whatever. The benefit there is you're your own boss. You are in charge of all the rules. The disadvantages, is that you are not an employee. You don't have that job security, So the option, requires you to oftentimes have like your own portable equipment that you paid for, but that is also very convenient to the client. So maybe something they're willing to pay for. Or maybe you end up owning your own facility someday. This is great because the advantage here, like I said, you're your own boss. You can create your own niche, whatever's important to you. That's the type of gym you can focus on making. However, disadvantage, the marketing and the networking. Well, this is like an advantage and a disadvantage. The marketing and the networking, that's all done at your discretion. You can market towards the people you want to train. You can network with the people you want to connect with. But you are also responsible for the success of your own business. There's a lot of pressure there. Hiring, firing, your overhead costs, networking, taxes, insurance, you're going to have to be in charge of all that. So we'll talk more about that later. But that is basically our introduction to day 1. Man, we really almost went perfectly on time today. And that is exactly the first lesson. Questions, comments, concerns, guys? Y'all feeling good?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All righty. Well, guys, it is a 3-day weekend. We do not have school on Monday, so you guys can chill, get some relaxing on. If you haven't finished your final, please knock that out. But otherwise, relax it up. Have a really great weekend, guys. Everybody stay safe out there, and I'll see you on Tuesday.
Bye, Annie.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yes, great job.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Brett.
Later.